Well, I'm back here once again to talk more about Star Wars. So, with that being said in mind, let's get into it. So, I forgot to review this episode last week, and it's all because, well, there was a little show called The Mandalorian that came out, and so that's pretty much the reason why I did not talk about the more recent episode of The Bad Batch. And also, one thing to also mention about The Bad Batch is that, well, we pretty much have, hold on a minute, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, basically 4 more weeks of The Bad Batch. And then we're basically just going to focus, we're only going to be focusing on The Mandalorian. Basically, that's how things are going to go. So, so with that being said in mind, let's get into Bad Batch Season 2, Episode 11, Metamorphosis. And, well, out of the two Star Wars episodes that we received last week, this one actually beat The Mandalorian out of the park. And mostly it was because, well, I have to just kind of say, The Mandalorian, the season opener was really kind of more or less of a, here's basically where Mando and Grogu are, and this is where we're going to go to, because you probably didn't watch the Book of Boba Fett, and we don't really, and really to be quite fair, we don't really kind of care if you did, because that show was kind of a failure. So yeah, that was basically it. However, though, with the Bad Batch, from what it looks like, there's an actual, here's the thing about the Bad Batch, you see, throughout most of its run, we haven't really seen much of a story. However, though, here, there seems to be a little bit of story. So with that being said, let's talk about the story that's developing. So in episode 11, which is, of course, titled Metamorphosis, we see in the opening of the episode that there is a spaceship that is, we see a spaceship that is about to crash into a nearby planet. There is a clone commander, which, very cool to see the clone commandos out there, and all that sort of stuff, even though this one gets eaten alive by some kind of a beast or some kind of a monster, which we'll talk about later on. You see, basically what happens here is that the ship then crashes on a planet, and then we now cut to the Bad Batch. Basically, the Bad Batch call out Sid for leaving them there, and once again, Sid is a bitch, and all that sort of stuff, for just having them strand out there and all that sort of stuff. And actually, the biggest question I think a lot of people are going to have is quite simply, well, why can't the Bad Batch simply, just, leave Sid, or not, work for her anymore and all that sort of stuff? Well, the reason is because most of their income comes from her, and also because she knows about a bunch of rogue clones going around. So, for the meantime, they probably have to be there. However, though, if I have to assume anything, they're probably not going to be there for very long. And I'm pretty sure that we're going to see a falling out between one of them. And it kind of gets me a little bit concerned as to what Sid's going to do and all that sort of stuff. Not concerned in terms of like, she turns out to be a good guy or anything like that. No, I'm concerned of what she's really, like, you can't trust her. What's she gonna do? Like, is she gonna betray them and all that sort of stuff? Are we gonna see the Batch, gets, be hunted by a bunch of by a bunch of stormtroopers and all that sort of stuff? We'll just have to wait and see. However, though, they are offered a little bit of a job here to inspect that ship that crashed out of the sky on the course of the nearby planet. They, of course, go there to basically research or to see what's the deal and all that sort of stuff. And what they find is basically ignore that, but basically what they find there is, well, if any of you remember back in season 3 or 4 of the Clone Wars, that big giant beast that they brought back to Coruscant, the Zillo Beast. And if you remember, at the end of that episode, Palpatine, of course we know is Darth Sidious, wanted to clone the Zillo Beast. And from what it seems like, they successfully cloned the Zillo Beast. And now there's basically a baby Zillo Beast wandering around killing people and all that sort of stuff. Well, not killing people. We're really kind of more or less it's just hanging around the ship, and the Batch are trying to basically, see or what's the whole deal and all that sort of stuff. And basically, Tech explains to them that, yeah, they basically cloned the Zillo Beast, that big ass monster that attacked Coruscant a couple years back, and all that sort of stuff. So, anyways, what happens throughout the episode here is that the Zillo Beast actually it grows by consuming tons and tons of electricity and all that sort of stuff. And then eventually it gets out, and now basically, oh shit, we now gotta get rid of that big old thing and all that sort of stuff and whatnot, sort of have you. So the Batch try to get rid of it. However, though, its skin is made out of a very strong substance and all that sort of stuff. Hell, I think even what are the clone trooper armor? Is the clone trooper armor actually made of the Zillo Beast's skin? Is that what I'm trying to? Is that confirmed, or is that actually something that's not really confirmed and all that sort of stuff? I have no really clue and all that sort of stuff. But anyhow, anyways, the Empire basically come along with LAT-AT or Republic gunships, which I hear are a bit different. They actually act more like TIE fighters, more than actually like gunships and all that sort of stuff. Basically, instead of being like a little transport for clone troopers or like soldiers or anything like that, no, they kind of act like little fighters and all that sort of stuff. And then basically the clone commanders basically round up the village of people and all that sort of stuff because they don't want anyone knowing about about the Empire cloning some giant ass monster. And hell, that also leads me to assume that something darker probably happened to them. Probably they all got executed right on the spot and all that sort of stuff, and probably blame it on some mining accident or something like that. That's always the go-to excuse when the Empire, wants people not to find out about their super Death Star killing weapons, or their cloning, or basically them killing a bunch of people in a city street. Yeah, they don't want people to find out about that. There was a mining accident about that. Yeah, damn. Man, I really do wonder just how the Empire just get away with that excuse. But anyways, what basically happens is that the Zillo Beast, to make a long story short, the Zillo Beast is basically captured, and basically now they're taking the Zillo Beast back to Mount Tantiss, which is a very prominent location in the Legends continuity. Basically, that's where I think Grand Admiral Thrawn was basically based on during the Thrawn trilogy. I could be very much wrong, but basically it's the mountain in the first season of the Bad Batch and all that sort of stuff. And what also happens is that they also bring in one of the Camemoans, or one of the Camemoans is actually locked up at Mount Tantiss and that big old prison cell and all that sort of stuff, which looks like to actually just be another cloning facility. We don't really know what's the Empire's their plan is. However, though, from what a lot of people can really gather, it really looks like Palpatine is experimenting with cloning. And from what it looks like, that could lead up then to the sequel trilogy, which is a set of movies I do not want to talk about right now, and all that sort of stuff. However, though, plan is there. And what's kind of funny here is that Palpatine's plan of cloning himself, I'm not actually against it. It's just how it was all executed and all that sort of stuff. I don't know. Let's just not talk about the Rise of Skywalker. However, though, this does present a little bit of some story. Something that could be happening in the next few episodes. And that is basically an order. And I like I said before, I forget some of the Cameron's names, but the higher up, the prime minister that we see in episode 2, Attack of the Clones, I think is Lama Su. No, that's not his name. I forget his name, but basically, the previous prime minister of Kamino, who was a male, the male version, basically says, hey, in order if you want the female version, the other Cameron, to comply to you, you're going to need a very special clone, a female clone that's supposedly out there. And I have no doubt that the Empire probably think that Clone Force 99 is still probably out there. And basically, what they're trying to say here is that they need Omega. So Omega is going to play a very big part in this. And from what it looks like, they're going to try to get her and use her for something and all that sort of stuff. And hell, we might actually get an explanation as to Omega. What really makes her an alternative genetic clone? Because all the rest of the Bad Batch members all, have unique genetics to them. Of course, Hunter is good at tracking. Wreckers has super strength. Tex is very intelligent. Crosshair is really good at sharpshooting, all that sort of stuff. But really, what is Omega's, I guess, superpower, I guess we could say? It's kind of implied that she ages slower than the rest of the batch and all that sort of stuff, which I think that's something that is actually confirmed. But the whole point here is that, well, basically, the Bad Batch, well, these next few episodes of the Bad Batch are going to lead up to the story. And how was the episode itself? It was pretty cool. Yeah, it was really, really cool. They explored a plot line that basically had no follow-up in the Clone Wars, and it was brought up here. The Zillo Bees getting, cloned. This is the same thing that also comes with, that's also with the Gungi episode. We don't know what happened to the rest of the younglings and all that sort of stuff. And we had a little bit of an answer. Gungi at least survived, and hopefully he survives long past the original trilogy and all that sort of stuff on Kashyyyk. And when it also comes down to also as well, when it comes also to the Zillo Beast, I'm very interested to see how that goes. But yeah, hey, the Bad Batch actually had a very good episode here. Now, hopefully these next few couple episodes aren't filler, because we only have, as said before, 12, 13, and 14 are supposed to be standalone episodes, or maybe not. They could actually be connected to one another. And then episode 15 and 16 is going to be the finale, the two-parter coming at the end of this month. So, yeah, guys. Now, actually, you see here, if these next few episodes are connected to one another, I'm actually gonna go ahead and review all of them maybe at once, but we'll just have to wait and see. I probably maybe won't do that, maybe because that might actually not be a great idea, but we'll just have to wait and see. But anyways, though, guys, these were a pretty good set of episodes. We're, of course, going to talk about The Mandalorian on Wednesday, so hope to see you all then. And also, the next episode of The Mandalorian is called The Mines of Mandalore, so we going to Mandalore. It's going to be a very fun ride.